فإن بغت إحداهما على الأخرى فقاتلوا التي تبغي حتى تفيء إلى أمر الله فإن فاءت فأصلحوا بينهما بالعدل وأقسطوا إن الله يحب المقسطين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم وإن تطيعوا الله ورسوله لا يلتكم من أعمالكم شيئا إن الله غفور رحيم. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
So thank you for that. I'm sure you'll agree that was a beautiful recitation. So to begin with, we're going to have one of our trustees give you a little talk about SICM as an organisation. I'm sure you've all seen the construction site around the corner and the visions and the hopes we have of what it will one day become, hopefully. So she's going to give you a little bit, just a little bit of background about our organisation and what we do now and what we're hoping to achieve in the coming years. Just to give you an idea, SICM itself was an organisation that was created, I'm told in the late 70s, 80s, way before I was born, obviously. It's an organisation that I've been a part of since I was born, and up until now. So for all the new faces, that's 21, for those of you who know me. It's much, much later than that. And now, so we've been talking about this, you can see it everywhere, the Salam Centre, which is something that we're hoping to achieve, an extension of a vision that we actually already have. So Sabra Auntie, if she'll come up and she'll give you a little bit more information about what we do. Thank you.
Friends and neighbors, my name is Sabira Kanji. For those of you who do not know me, I'm one of the trustees for the Salam Centre. It is my pleasure, on behalf of the Shiite Nashri community of Middlesex, also known as the Salam Centre, as Zainab just explained, to welcome you here today. I send salutations upon Prophet Muhammad and the family of the Prophet and all our beloved prophets, reaching as far back as Prophet Adam, may peace be upon them all. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most kind and the most merciful, I welcome you with the salutation of salam, or peace, and my prayer that you're all blessed by God's bounty, the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me begin by apologizing for our temporary building, as Zainab explained, as we still continue with the construction of the Salam Centre. Perhaps we can use it as a metaphor for the transient nature of our life in the world, with the hope and aspiration of our success in the next life, whether we call it heaven, Jannah, Shamayim, or Nirvana. Whatever the term given to this concept or belief, we will strive to better ourselves and continually grow, for we are preparing for another life in which our fate is determined by our actions and deeds within this world. And indeed, even if one is not religious and does not see the potential for another form of existence after this temporary one we have been gifted, the point is that we still all use an ethical framework to make moral decisions. And I would like to believe in the good of man, in that most have the universal aim to do good, kind, courageous, and a forbearing person who upholds justice and never usurps the rights of the others. Rather than judge the whole of mankind and its nature based on the actions of the few who taint our world with their immorality and selfish behavior. And we are grateful for this opportunity of my second visit, my mosque day, as we are able to show that you as Muslims who live and work alongside you in Harrow, London, England, and United Kingdom, we have the same values and aspirations as you have. However, I would like to go one further in that whilst today is an official opportunity for many who may not be aware of the activities of teachings and about people who we also believe, however, as Muslims, that every day effectively is Visit My Mosque Day. Because as Muslims, we should have an open door policy when it comes to our religious institutions, and we should universally around the country be actively and eagerly inviting all to bless us with your presence, as is the prophetic way of teachings. For the mosque was always intended not as just a place of worship, but rather the heart of the community, the center of learning and social gatherings, a place of sharing and caring, a place that served the needy, but unfortunately, some institutions and communities have forgotten this. And that is why it is more important that we readdress the balance and educate not only non-Muslims, but also remind those Muslims that have forgotten what is it that the Prophet taught us within the legacy and his life. So for me and for the congregation that attend today's center, today is about just that. I'm going to give you a quick presentation that all the activities that we hold here, but then I would like you to talk to us and for us to understand one another a little bit better, as today is all about inclusive learning and sharing, respect and understanding of one another's values, beliefs for that common goal of a harmonious and a thriving community that colors our lives individually in the best of ways. So as you can see, through congregational prayers is a pillar stone for our faith and benefits that are held in the highest regard. That is just one of the many activities that occur within these walls. Furthermore, when we do not have congregational prayers, often we have additional supplications, and we hold different activities in terms of health. If you can see, we hold religious classes, we do the health being mums and tots, we provide tuitions. So the picture speaks for itself, the number of activities that we carry out within the working week, throughout the week as well. The Salam Center, within the first slide, can we go back to the first slide as well? The Salam Center is also a place for family, that we must cater for the family. Hence you can see we have a club for mothers and toddlers every week, allowing moms to get together, socialize, learn from one another, whilst the children get to play and learn from the interaction within each other. In addition to religious worship and practices catering for the family, we also offer tuition classes, as I mentioned. And so they're just some of the many different activities, purposes, and functions of the Salam Center that I've highlighted. And with the community's input, we hope to keep on growing and adding to how we can better serve the community. At the Salam Center, we pride ourselves on the caliber and range of different speakers. We attract all of them being of the highest academic standings, renowned and respected globally by all, irrespective of faith. Furthermore, we like to approach our study of religion in a very academic manner. Thus, one will be pleasantly surprised by the variety of subjects and topics we cover and our resilient and continuing search for truth in times of hardship, conflict, and doubt. We are very mindful of the fact that those of my age will not be here around forever, and thus it is vital that we pass the torch on to those who will be the leaders of our future generations. Therefore, we must be catering for their needs, desires, and requirements. And as such, this is why we call upon many young, as you can see from the picture, the youth and upcoming speakers. So whilst we give them a platform to grow and evolve as lecturers, the youth listening also have somebody that they can relate to and identify with when it comes to the issues that they're facing in everyday lives. As a community who believe not only in the importance of spiritual focus, but also the academic and scientific approach to religious study, we also like to invite non-Muslim speakers, academics, professors, religious scholars, and teachers, so we can open up a dialogue of learning and understanding between all within the world we live in. And you will find here at the Salam Center, we like to have a slightly different format and approach to the traditional methods of learning religion within a community setting, especially because of the eclectic range of individuals we invite and learn from. For ordinarily, you will have a speaker who sits from a pulpit and delivers a speech, or a sermon, if you will, whereas since we like to approach everything from an academic point of view when learning about religion, current affairs, history, philosophy, and politics here at the Salam Center, it is thus that we do not like to limit these opportunities to mere monologues, but we like to probe, delve into further discussion, thus allowing us to learn even more from the respected intellectuals that we have been blessed with. In fact, often we like to change the format completely, providing seminars and conferences and for the community to attend and participate within. Here on this slide, you'll see a brief history of what we have achieved thus far. As the Salam Center is much more than just a place to deliver lectures and have prayers, as we've mentioned already. So if we look closely, we kicked off in 1975 with the first Sunday school. And if you take a minute or two to see where we have evolved and reached, and you can see how the growth of activities that has taken place, not just within, but into how we have integrated with the community itself as well. Over the years, we have also been very proud of the relations we have held with other religious communities. For instance, we provide facilities to our Sunni brothers to hold their Friday Jummah prayers here in an attempt again to spread love, unity, and solidify our brotherhood. Similarly, the interfaith events we hold are all with the intention to increase community spirit and the understanding of one another. So further to that, we feel it is important to support as many like-minded organizations as possible in a bid to collectively help as many as we can, joining them in their work and quest to create as much community cohesion and harmony as possible, whilst also pushing all within our community to fulfill their maximum potentials regardless of their current social standing or particular momentary life circumstances. So you can see from the individual projects, we work with the homeless concern. We worked with the blood donation campaigns. So we have a set day within the year set aside that we all go and give blood to the blood bank. We worked with various charities, and the picture speaks again where we've helped in many different kinds of projects, including mental health issues, interactive spiritual experience for all, etc. And this work is not limited to merely our shores, but we have joined others overseas in charity and relief work, as many of us have originally come from overseas and thus have witnessed first-hand difficulties that some face. Therefore, now we've been blessed with comforts, financial stability, and personal security. It is our duty to help others who are less fortunate back at home or around the world in the time of need. Again, here you can see we have not only helped relief from the point of relief, we have advanced in terms of our center and facilities we wish to offer our visitors and members. We must remember how generous people were in coming forward to help get the Salam Center kick off and is now underway. And similarly, we must support and aid other communities to do the same, helping them to build their places of worship, social gathering, and learning. So these are some of the projects that we've helped overseas, and a couple of them here are from Toronto, a couple of them from States, one in India, and one in Africa. These are one or two few of many. Bringing us back to the Salam Center and the future, our ideals and our hopes for this new community hub, in that the Salam Center is your center. The Muslim community of Harrow opens its doors, more importantly, its heart to you. Please come in and feel at home. And that is exactly what Visit Our Mosque Day is all about. Thank you for your time. I'm Sabira Kanji. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.
So I'm sure you'll agree. It looks quite pretty on the road there in the picture, and hopefully one day we'll see it in reality. Okay, so now Gareth Thomas is going to give us a few short words. A long-time supporter of the Salam Center since its inception, I think, from way back when. So, Gareth.
Thanks very much for the opportunity to come to visit SICM again. I was looking at the slides on the left there, and it had popular speakers. And Miqdad Versi came up. I thought that's got to be wrong there as a slide. And then it implied on one of the last slides that among the sort of people who you have along and you learn from is a speaker called Gareth Thomas, MP for Harrow West. When I come here, normally it's to get beaten up, or it feels like that. So I'm sure you don't learn about politics from me, but it is a chance to be held accountable, and I genuinely value that. It's great to be back. I've lived in Harrow all my life. Grew up in North Harrow, and I'm familiar with the history of this site. And I'm looking forward to the Salam Centre finally becoming a reality, not least because the advertising material for the Salam Centre includes a video extract from me when I had hair, and I think it's time that you could get rid of that and you could have the actual centre up and functioning. I think it's going to be a wonderful centre, and the vision that there is there, an open community, an open centre for the Muslim community primarily, but one that every one of us can access is a great thing. I think it's important for. There are many of us in the room who are not Muslims, and I think the fact that we have all come to the mosque today is very important, because I think the Muslim community, let's face it, is under attack as never before. Islamophobia is rising in the UK and across the rest of the world, and it's very important that that those of us in positions of influence, people from other faith communities, come and show our support for the Muslim community, and in so doing, recognise that just because there are groups like ISIS or Al-Qaeda or the Taliban appropriating some of the iconography of Islam does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that the Muslim community in the UK, in our community here in Harrow, accord with those beliefs. So I come along today as a member of the community to say you may think it is your mosque, but actually it is my mosque too, and I take great pride in having the Salam Centre in Harrow and having SICM as active as you are. I think it's also a tribute to people in North Harrow, that just as you are very open as a Muslim community here, that other faiths are very open also to you. And the evening of the 24th of December, when I think 50 people from this community went to join in the pre-Christmas Day service just up the road, was a really important signal of welcome back to the Muslim community too, and I pay tribute to those people who came up with the idea of that joint service. There are one or two people who like to spread myths about the Muslim community. One of those is that Muslim women are submissive. And I think that's just one of the more ridiculous things that we've heard of late about the Muslim community. If it's true, Muslim women in Harrow certainly haven't got that memo, because I regularly am held quite rightly accountable by the community, and it is people of both genders asking tough questions about what I'm doing as a local MP, what I'm doing as on the front bench for my party, and when I was a minister, asking what I was doing as a minister, and that's the way it should be. So I welcome the opportunity to come and visit this mosque today. I apologise to people here this evening. I'm sure that the one thing that all of us who live locally can agree, whether we're Jewish, Hindu, Christian, or Muslim, is that the true heathens live in Harrow East, not in Harrow West, and I apologise to you that I have to go off to do missionary work in Harrow East in a little bit. But thanks very much for the opportunity to come and join you. I'm really proud of this community. I think you're a great community, and I'm pleased to be a member of Parliament.
told by my mum that I should have referred to you as Right Honourable MP Gareth Thomas. So I do apologise, Right Honourable MP Gareth Thomas. But thank you very much for that. Thank you. Just so we move things on really quickly, without further ado, I'll call up our next guest speaker, who is Councillor Rekha Shah, who is the Deputy Mayor of Harrow. Do I have to refer to you in any particular way? Okay, that's fine.
Good evening. Greetings to all who are present today, and my thanks to Salam Center for hosting this important event today. The gathering today is important because of the opening up the mosque to all communities across the religious divides, shows the principle and desire of the Muslim community to be inclusive and welcoming to create peaceful and harmonious world. Harrow is the shining example of diversity and community cohesion. We have a combined responsibility to appreciate each other's values and support each other, to strengthen our resolve for unity. What better place than this venue here today, which is working on vision of promoting unique resources for Harrow's diverse communities. The Salam Center project is unique in many ways. First of all, it will provide an attractive building, and I'm sure it will make a positive contribution to Harrow's built environment because of its high quality architectural design. Whilst the center will serve the Muslim community, it will be a vital resource center to serve all communities in Harrow by providing state-of-the-art facilities, as you can see it. Salam Center vision is strong on inclusivity with shared spaces for the community. Harrow lacks modern centers, and the Salam Center will fill the gap and provide much needed facilities for the young and old. It will provide a warm and pleasant environment for families. I look forward to a rapid progress and completion of the project becomes available for Harrow's community to use and enjoy. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Our next guest speaker is Jack Lyons, who I believe is the chair for the Harrow Interfaith Council. No? He'll explain. They've changed their name. Okay, here you go.
Thank you very much. It's actually, we've dropped the word council because councils seem to be a bit over the top. We're not a council, we're a group of people, and I hope most of you will become one of us, if not today, in the next very near future. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, peace and harmony. I'm delighted to bring you greetings from Harrow Interfaith on this special day when people of all faiths are invited to have what I've described as a peep inside the mosque, or in this case, the porter-cabin mosque. Lack of knowledge leading to suspicion, quickly followed by concern, and then hostility, and consequences too dreadful to contemplate, are best addressed by every faith, realizing the importance of appreciating their place in the community and doing whatever is possible to understand other faiths. In so doing, without exception, I think you'll agree that we discover how much we have in common and how much we can do together in building a better society and, in the end, a better world. Now, you may well be thinking, I've heard all this sort of hype before. But please just take a minute or two, and if you're sitting comfortably, I hope you won't be comfortable for very much longer. Consider what a real mess our world is in right now. Frankly, things are so dreadful that we somehow protect ourselves most of the time by turning a blind eye to the tragedies, not just of recent times, the Holocaust, the genocides, but what is happening right now, yes, this very day. Modern means of communication, my friends, bring horrors to us in our living rooms. And we are somehow anesthetized, choosing to look the other way, so we no longer feel the pain. Events such as this one today, a nationwide initiative, are indeed a step in the right direction and must be welcomed. But the problem is long-term, and each of us has a responsibility, I'm going to dare say it, to do something about it. Harrow Interfaith's aim is building understanding and respect among faiths in Harrow by promoting dialogue among faith communities of Harrow, respecting the religious beliefs and customs of member faiths, while recognizing the personal beliefs of individuals, fostering friendship and understanding among people of faith, and opposing prejudice. And I hope that you'll consider joining us as members and help us to achieve our aim. It's already been mentioned this evening that Muslims are probably the people at this day who are most at risk from prejudice, referred to as Islamophobia. Jews too, and I'm Jewish by the way, have a long history of anti-Semitism. A most stupid description, by the way, because the majority of Semites in the world are not even Jews. But there you go. I concluded the Harrow Holocaust Memorial Day event with a pledge that I invited the audience to join with me in saying. The theme of the day was "Don't Stand By," a theme I suggest is equally apt today. And I think some of you have slips of paper with the pledge on, and I would love it if you would join with me. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It would be lovely if we all could say together, so this becomes a joint effort, let's go together. We reject prejudice. We respect those of other faiths and of no faith. We will not stand by and ignore the rights of every man, woman, and child to live their lives according to their beliefs without fear or concern. We will do what we can to learn about other people's teachings and customs so that we may respect them. We will not stand by when we learn of persecution, bullying, harassment, unfairness, and unacceptable behavior. In respecting others, we will gain self-respect. Where there is injustice, we will not stand by in silence. We are resolved in our intention from this moment on to stand up for what is right and never to stand by. We will hold our heads up high and be strong. We will not stand by. And I would like to conclude by thanking the Salam Center for their hospitality and welcome, and in wishing them well in their endeavors to build a center where people of all faiths can meet in harmony. And then to say, please don't delay its completion too long, as I would like to be present at the official opening, and to wish all concerned a hearty Mazel Tov. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm sure you'll agree that actually he's a very good speaker, with or without notes, and quite a heart-touching pledge there, actually. And so, you know, he did say try and get the Salam Center done quickly. So we're taking donations today. I just wanted to throw that in there while I have you all here. So next, I believe, Reverend David Tuck from St. Albans Church in North Harrow. Am I correct in assuming that he did come and give a talk in Ramadan as well? And he's back because he loves it here so much. And we love him too.
The first thing I want to say is that when I come here, I know that I'm among friends. And I value that more than I can ever say. Thank you, Mahfil Ali. I want to draw your attention to a small church which was built just 350 years ago in the Midlands near Birmingham, in the middle of the Civil War here, when Christians were fighting each other in huge numbers. There were very few churches built at that time, and over the door it says this church was built in 1650 or whatever. We did the best of things in the worst of times. We did the best of things in the worst of times. Now, these aren't the worst of times for Muslims in Britain and elsewhere, but they are not good, and we need to recognize that. Gareth, you've shot my fox, but I'm going to say it again. Of course, there is a dreadful increase in Islamophobia at the moment throughout our land. There are some aspects of government policy which seem perversely to be almost designed to have the opposite effect from the ones which have been publicly stated. I deeply regret that. And I deeply regret, too, the terrible misrepresentation of Muslims and the Muslim faith in some of our red tops, our daily newspaper. It is simply dreadful. We can't affect things and make them change on the national scale. But here in our little platoon, Edmund Burke, the great 18th century statesman, said, we can make a difference. 2, 3 churches and Mahfil Ali are doing some good things together. And I just want to draw attention to those before I finish. Gareth, thank you for mentioning the fact that for the last 7 years, I think 50 or 60 members of this community have joined us joyfully, mostly young members, at midnight mass at St. Albans. We are deeply, deeply grateful for that. It's been a great thrill, and I hope it will be able to continue. Last Monday, here, and every 8 weeks, last week there were 16 of us altogether, 8 Muslims and 8 Christians. We meet together as a dialogue group. We talk about mutual concerns, what's going on in the community. We study our scriptures together. The Muslims know their Arabic. Alas, the Christians do not know their Greek very well. How sad I am about that. We're learning to pray together while respecting each other's traditions. We sailed down the Thames together not many months ago and had a lovely day out at Greenwich. We're planning, I think, in a few months' time, to go to Kew together. I've written to the director of Kew and telling him he must let us all in for free. But I haven't had a reply. And when I sent an email to say nobody's replied, one of your community wrote back and said, David, if you don't at first succeed, try again. Thank you. And then I just want to tell you that 2 members of our group, 1 Christian and 1 Muslim, are going together to Jerusalem in March for a course organized by the Muslim Christian Forum with the title New Perspectives. Sharing perspectives, yes. And we are amazed at the generous funding which has come forward to make that possible for those people who are going, and are looking forward hugely to the feedback when they come back. But most of all, I value hugely, and I know other members of my community too, the firm and growing friendships which have emerged as the result of our talking together after the first few. I cannot say how precious they are. It's one of the things that make it so special for me to live here in this part of London. Now, I just want to say that if you have any doubts as to whether people of different faiths, especially in this instance Christians and Muslims and Jews, can live together in peace over a long period, do go this week, because it closes, to a great exhibition which is on at the moment at the British Museum, Egypt After the Pharaohs. They could do it, and so can we, and so will we. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So our next guest speaker is Reverend Jodie Stowell. Am I saying that right? Yep. From St. Michael and All Angels Church in Harrow Weald.
In Harrow West. I know, you're all right, you're all right. Well, thank you. It's been great to be invited here today. It's my first time in this space. I hope not the last time. So thank you for inviting me. And I want to say that actually it's really precious to be invited into another's kind of place. And particularly for me, sort of watching and reading what you were doing in your prayers, that really touched me, because I think when we pray, we're probably at our most vulnerable because it's a heart thing that we're doing. And so to actually be able to watch others do that, I think is something really special. So that was something that I hadn't seen before, and I'm really thankful for that. So I just want to say that it's really precious to be invited and welcomed into a space which is important and significant for other people in a different way than it is for me. And I think it must always be recognized that hospitality of this kind actually does come at a cost. We're so used to kind of, we must all be hospitable, we must all, and the different faiths have different ways of doing this. But sometimes we expect it almost as a right, as a thing that we should be doing, and we forget that actually hospitality is quite a deep a commitment for everyone who practices it. And so I think today, we just recognizing that being invited into this space actually comes at some kind of cost. And I think that is to be deeply appreciated. In the Christian faith, we have this thing called the Trinity that we believe in. So we believe God is one and exists. It's a tricky concept, and it'll take more than my 3 minutes to go through it. But what I wanted to say is what that means for Christians, this kind of idea of the Trinity, is that inherent in our understanding of God is this idea of being orientated towards one another, so that we are bent towards each other, our faces towards one another. That in order for there to be the well-being of all, of the whole, there needs to be an almost outrageous, scandalous welcome and hospitality to those who we consider different to us, maybe outside us. And that's something which is an imperative within the Christian faith, the idea of seeking the flourishing of the other. That's why it is also so important. So it's important for us to give that, but it's important for us to understand and to honor the receiving of that hospitality and welcome of others. And in doing so, we're recognizing the shared humanity that we have with one another, recognizing that we believe that all are made in the image of God. And in receiving hospitality in this way, we're both recognizing how we are the same and honoring how we are different. So coming into each other's, space is not about saying, we're all the same, and that's how we will do this. And in fact, I think it's a much harder, better, and holy work, as it were, just not to be content with those media and cultural stereotypes, which we've talked about a little bit this evening already, to actually figure out how how we walk together in our diversity, in our difference, but in our common community together, in real recognition of each other, what we look like, and establishing a real friendship within that difference. So thank you for this opportunity to be here today and extending the invitation. I do look forward, as others have said, to that day when I can come and be in the Salam Centre and see all that it's doing and being welcomed there as well. And you are all welcome too at St. Michael's anytime. Okay.
Thank you. So just 2 more speakers before you get tea and cake and biscuits. So our next guest speaker is Rabbi Michael Hilton. I'm going to try. Kol Chai Synagogue, Hatch End? Chai. I should have got the ch sound really, shouldn't I? God, everyone knew that apart from me. How terrible.
Thank you so much for your wonderful welcome this afternoon. What a lovely event it is, and how wonderful it is to be here back again with Mahfil Ali on this really important occasion. This day, I understand, Visit My Mosque Day is being held at 80 venues across the country. I do hope it's being as well supported everywhere, but I just suspect that maybe there are some places where it's not being so well supported. After all, not every community does as much outreach work as this one does. It's incredible to hear about all the things you're doing. And for people coming into a mosque for the first time, it's not always so easy to cross the threshold, to go into a place with a different culture. It's a difficult step for people to make. Sometimes at events like this, we all feel, I think, a little bit that we're kind of preaching to the converted. We're talking to those who are already committed to good community and good faith relations. But what about all those people out there who are not so committed? How do we bring them in? And I think the only way forward is by personal encounter and personal friendship, because it's only by getting to know other people as true human beings that we can bridge those gaps of the difference of language, of culture, of faith, of appearance. Jews and Muslims have a huge amount in common. We have very similar traditions. And that's why your pronunciation there was so amusing, because as anybody who's tried to learn both Hebrew and Arabic will know, they are similar languages. The sounds, the gutturals, the verb forms, the vocabulary, they are connected languages. And what does that mean? It means the 2 languages of prayer of Jews and Muslims go back to a common source. But perhaps that's not so surprising, because of course we all go back to a common source, to the one who created us all. I've been asked to say a little bit this afternoon about my own work in interfaith relations. I do quite a bit locally and also nationally, and I've written 2 books on Jewish-Christian relations. But most importantly, I've been involved for 25 years as a leader in the Ramadan 3 Faiths Week, which is held in a beautiful country house in Somerset, where we bring Jews, Christians and Muslims together for a week, not just of study, but of also personal encounter, personal experience of each other's faiths. And what happens is, by the time we've built up trust during the week, we feel able to participate as equals in each other's prayer times when it comes to the weekend, which is a very big step for many people to take. The next one, God willing, will be next year, and I hope that some of you may consider joining us for that. Why do I do this work? Because we're divided, but we share so much. Bringing people together is a way of showing gratitude to the one who made all humanity, the one in whose image we are created. There can be no peace in the world unless there is peace between religions. And there can be no peace between religions unless there is dialogue and talk between religions. May it be the will of our Creator to spread a shelter of peace over us all, over all who engage in the work of openness and dialogue, over Jerusalem, over Mecca, over Medina, and on all who dwell on earth. May this be God's will.
And we will end with our final guest speaker. It's coming, wait, it's coming. Just bear with me. But while I'm talking and scrolling, I'd just like to clarify, I'm not from Doha. I just lived there. I know, but I don't want anyone to think that. Reverend John Swarbrick, North Harrow Methodist Church. That was easy. North Harrow Methodist Church.
Right, thank you very much. Salam alaikum. I feel a bit like Tail End Charlie coming along at this rate, so I want to just begin with a story. Some of you may have been here when I was invited to give one of your Friday evening talks in March last year. And I gave that on the subject of multiple identities, both in terms of nationality and religion, both from sort of historical and contemporary perspectives. And then there was a really good buzz of conversation and questions afterwards. And as is the custom here, these Friday evening talks are then posted on YouTube. My first appearance on the telly, as I posted it on to a number of friends of mine, simply to sound impressive. And that, I thought, was that. Until sometime in October, I received an email from someone describing himself as a counter-terrorism analyst. American, clearly, from the use of the language, and an academic. And I looked at the bottom of the email where there was this alphabet soup of acronyms and numbers. And I'm thinking, who on earth is this? Finally discovered that he was a counter-terrorism analyst with EUCOM. Have you heard of EUCOM? The United States European Command. They have places all over Europe. And this one was based in Istanbul. When I went onto their website, because he said his section was F10, on the website there was F1 through to F9. And at this point, my stomach took a kind of lurch. Am I being recruited by the United States European Command? You know, and if I can get a lurch from something like that, I wonder how many people's stomachs lurch with other things at this time. It's been great to be part of this dialogue with Muslims, Anglicans and Methodists here in North Harrow over the last couple of years or so. David said a lot about what we do. You forgot to mention the bake-off. That was almost as important as a visit to Kew. To Greenwich. And we thought we had 30 entries slated. 150 people turned up, so the tasters had a marathon job. And one of those was diabetic. I feared for him, really. But it just was a wonderful expression of what we can do together. Yeah. David's already alluded to our regular meetings, normally held either in the house on the corner or at St Albans or at the Methodist Church. And what I have found most valuable about that, even if some of the Christians' Greek is not up to snuff, is to say that yes, you can do all the hospitality, you can do all the relational stuff. Governments can witter on about community cohesion and and counter-terrorism policy, but unless we start drilling down into the theological and finding a place of understanding which recognises what's different, but also helps us to discover where we share common ground as well, in all sorts of ways, then all the other stuff isn't worth it, really. It's actually getting to a deeper understanding of what fires us up as people of faith in different traditions, and then learning from one another, and discovering so much more. And I think from that, many of the other things will come as well. I recognise the point. I mean, I've been thinking, Jack, the world is, I think, a much more anxious place than I can ever remember. My parents used to talk about the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, when we thought we were on the brink. And it feels, without wanting to sound too apocalyptic, it sounds a bit like that now with so much going on. But this whole business of promoting understanding, knowledge where there is so much ignorance, which is why your wonderful programme of speakers is so important. And it's not saying that this is all head stuff at all. It isn't simply about sort of intellectual understanding. It's what the heart makes of it and what the guts make of it in the end.
Thank you. I suppose that I should point out that this is all going to be on YouTube again. So if anyone from Counter-Terrorism F10, F11, F15, I don't know. Yeah. Smile at the camera. As Reverend Jodie said she felt precious to be invited here. Actually, the pleasure is all ours to have you all here today. And I know it's an MCB initiative, but really our doors are always open for all of you anytime. Well, Friday evenings, Thursday evenings. And if you want us to open them for you, we will. We have yoga classes. What else do we have? Tuition, if you've got kids that are struggling with maths like myself. The tutor's right there in the corner, actually. But really, it is our pleasure to have you here. We are so grateful that you all came today. And hopefully we'll see you all again very soon. Thank you. Oh, so get tea, biscuits, tiramisu. And if anyone wants to put henna, we have a little henna stand here in the corner. So knock yourselves out. Thank you very much.